Wednesdays. So basically, we learned that the author of our Mishnah, Rabbi Yossi Haglili, our Mishnah said that if you damaged kochim, but it does not have me'ilah, in other words, it's not considered stealing from Beis Hamikdash, then you are liable to be treated as shorei eyu. We said this follow Rabbi Yossi Haglili, who says that kochim kalim, like a korban shlamim, is considered yours, even though you consecrated until you actually shecht it. You do the zrika on the mizbech, and then the emudim, the fats, are considered the eibishtes, and if you use it for your own purpose, you're stealing. So because man, the animal's alive, it is called mom and bailim. It's shorei eyu, and you are liable if you cause it damage. So now the Gemara will explore the brayso further. Kufa, that you give them an olive 4 lines from the top. Kufa, we learned it says a mo'alu mo'al b'Hashem. You had your mind an object for somebody, and you swore that you never got it, and then later on you admitted that you lie. You swore under false pretenses. So then you have to pay back the principal penalty, monetary penalty, and also the real carbon usher. The pasuk says a mo'al mo'al b'Hashem. So you basically lied, you stole, you betrayed Hashem. And then it says, you contradicted your friend. So there's partially Hashem and partially your friend. That is kochim kalim. Set aside the animal, but it still belongs to him, like Rashi said before, because you're responsible until it's brought to the Beis Hamikdash. He's kochim kalim. Shem is considered your money. Now, in understanding Rabbi Yossi Haglili, Ben Azai goes a step further to explain Rabbi Yossi Haglili, and he says as follows: the Rabbi says shlamim. What are we talking about? We're talking about a korban shlamim that is considered yours until you actually shecht it and so on. So the Gemara Abba Yosef ben Dusay says no. You say it's a shlamim loy. Ben Azai ela b'chayr b'vad. He was talking about a b'chayr, which we discussed before. A b'chayr, while it was in the times of the Beis Hamikdash and Eretz Yisrael, belongs to Hashem. It's a gift from Hashem. But a b'chayr outside of Eretz Yisrael, which you don't really have to bring, we brought up Shim before that you don't really have to bring Eretz Yisrael. So then that is considered mom and bailim, especially after the Churban Beis Hamikdash as well. So let's analyze it. Machlekes of Ben Azai and Yosef ben Dusay, what each one is trying to say. Says the Gemara, Ben Azai said to include the korban shlamim. So the question is, what are we trying to exclude, and what does it not include in kochim kalim? Firstborn, that is considered kochim kalim, and yet, if it's outside of Eretz Yisrael, nevertheless, it's not considered yours. Doesn't make sense. Hashta, which is stricter, which is holier. Shlamim Shlamim requires smicha. You have to lean on it. You have to give libations. You have to wave the breast and the shank and so on, which means it has a lot of kedusha in it. And yet, Amrit, you tell me, Mambaila belongs to the owner until he chefs and so on. B'choyer outside of the Eretz Yisrael. The boy, you have to tell me, belongs to the person. Of course, it belongs to the person. So it's not coming to negate that. So it must be Ella Amar Rabbi Yochanan Lemut. It's coming to exclude Maisa Behema, the 10th animal that you have to bring up as a shlamim. That animal is called Maisa Behema. So even though it's brought up as a shlamim, that is not considered mum and barim. Even while the animal's alive. Tanya, we learned. This says the Brayso. By b'choy, it says by b'choy that's unblemished. An unblemished b'choy you can sell when it's whole, but you cannot sell an unblemished boy once it's geschochten, because then it's asa b'hana. You can't, because you didn't bring it to mizbeach, and nobody can benefit from it, so you can't sell it. But while it's unblemished and it's alive, you can sell it, and the next kohen will bring it as a korban. But if it's blemished, then you can always sell it. It says in the pasuk you should not redeem it. The nimke you could sell it. So we said as follows: Tam, if it's unblemished chai while the animal's alive, you can sell it. Not once it's dead. In other words, you cannot redeem it to take it out of the kedusha b'chayr. Once something is a b'chayr firstborn, which is natural state, you cannot change that fact. That's how it is. However, you cannot redeem it to make a chul or something, but you can sell it while it's alive, and the person who buys it then has to treat it like a b'chayr. Wait till it has a mum, or bring it to the Beis Hamikdash. But a balmum, chai v'shachut, you could sell it if it's alive or whether it's v'shachut. But the ma'aseh behema, there it says lo yigo. There it says you cannot redeem it. and we darshan from the word lo yigol, we learn out from lo yigol, but it says by charam by a koyin. There it says you cannot sell it, nor can you redeem it. Just like over there you cannot sell, over here also you cannot sell. Ein nimker, you cannot sell ma'ase behema lechai l'shach. It's alive. You cannot sell it. Lo tam le bamum regardless. So therefore we are more machne. So we are more machne by ma'ase behema. So ma'ase behema is not considered mammon by them. So the Gemara. The very fact that you cannot sell it means you have no ownership of it. Simple as that. Ravina gives another Ravina, master of Ravina learns the same discussion on the Sefer. Abba Yosef and Abba Yosef. Abba Yosef what's coming to exclude. Doesn't make sense. Shlamim is considered mammon bailim, and they come reverse before. Is born holy. The minor who is still considered yours, shlamim, if it's outside of Yisrael, there's animal because you don't have to bring it to the base of Migdash, even in the times of the base of Migdash. Shlamim, a carbon shlamim that I myself is my animal that I donated surely is considered mine. So what's it coming to yay? So now we'll say they repeat the same Gemara we had before. I'm going to be able to mice to mice. I mean, says you should redeem an imka that you can sell because you have some ownership. Tam if it's unblemished chai while it's alive, balmum if it is blemished chai, but shot I don't care if it's alive or dead. But mice, however, by mice it says lo you should redeem, and we learn from lo from charamim that you cannot sell either, which means you have no ownership over it. You can't sell it. Tam le balmum. So they were like bamum, and that's what we're coming to exclude ma'ase behema. So nobody is asking now a question. According to Ravina's pshat, it's not just b'choir. Shlamim also is considered mam bailim. Yet if you look at the wording of the brayso, the story says Yosef in the story says b'choir b'var only b'choir. B'choir b'var kama only b'choir kasha. That's a problem. Rava gives another answer. Rava says, let's go back to the beginning. When our Mishnah said nechasim that has no meila, you decided that it means you're being very pedantic. You said it has no meila stealing, but it's still kodesh. I'm saying my nechashim ben mila, nechashim ben mila. What? There's no kachim at all. Only things which are not kachim. We're not following Vesaglili. We're following the opinion that says that all kachim are considered mama of gavoya, even a kachim kalam, even a shlamim. And our Mishnah doesn't mean necessarily mila. It means even kachim. My ninu, what are we talking about? The hedyet. To an ordinary person, nuvalisa the hedyet. Just say a hedyet. So why does the Mishnah use such funny terms as a mila? Just say only if it belongs to the a or your friend. Gotcha. That is a question. Amar Baba says Rabba Abba. Okay, what about a carbon shlamim? Till now we're talking about we damaged property of hegdish. What about the other way around? An animal that belongs to hegdish caused damage to others. Shlamim sheheziku. A carbon shlamim that caused damage. And we know that a tam the first few times pays from it, pays only half, but also of its own value, of its migufa from itself. It cannot pay more than what it's really worth. So shlamim sheziko, the carbon shlamim of the base of Mikdash, cause damage. Goyim mipsarim. We can only collect from the value of the flesh, but not the fat, because the fats go to the mizbech. That belongs to Hashem. And the goyim miwaden, you don't collect from the fats. So you want pshita a mudul gvoy salpi. The mudul belongs to Hashem. Lo yitzicha legoyim mipsarim keneged a mudul. We would have thought, look. What happens if you only give half? So half, let's say the bus is worth $100, they move the fats are worth $25, or let's say $50, so it counts $150, you cause damage of $75. So I would have thought, look, the bus is 100, half of that is 50, but if you add the emuder to it, makes it 150, half of that is 75. I'll take another 25 for the bus. So you're right, I cannot take from the emuder. If one shirt pushes other shirts into a board, so the bala board according to So one opinion is that if the Bala boy pays half and the Bala Shai pays half, but the Bala Shai is a Tams, he pays half of half, which is only 25%. And the balance you get from the Bala boy. But if it's a mu'id, then the Bala Shai pays the whole lot and the Bala boy is potter. So what do we see from here? If that opinion holds, that if let's say you cannot collect the full amount from the Bala Shai, you don't collect from the Bala boy the balance. So the first opinion says that one opinion says the Bala boy is potter. Somebody pushed the animal in. The Bal Hashoid pays, but what does he pay? He's a tam. So he pays only a half and so on and so forth. On the other hand, the other opinion says no, that they share the costs. So we see that if you cannot pay from one, you go to the other one. So now the Gemara says, so which one are we going according to when you're saying that that you would have thought you cannot get from the bus, so you should get from the emurim? That's what we'd have thought. I'll leave it a man. According to Liba the Rabban Pshita, surely. For Amri, they hold Kilekalish Talum Mahai. So the Bala Boy ends up paying 3/4, and the Bala Shoy only ends up paying 1/4. Then why not? So why shouldn't you collect from the basa? And if you cannot get from the emur and the fats, this was involved in the damage. So you must say yes. I can say either of Nasan, the Chiddush according to Nasan, Ibai say Rabban. Or the Rabban. Ibai say Rabban. Hanimi went to the Rabban and say that you cannot collect from one, you don't go to another. If you cannot collect from Alashar, you don't go to the owner of the pit. But today, Gufa, it's two different people. Aval Bechad Gufa. Here it's and there's a boy and there's a cow. And here it's one body. The body has the meat and the fats together. Matzi Amle, he can say, it's your animal, it's one piece, and therefore I'll get my money for wherever I can. I can't get from the fats, I'll get it from the meat. Or Ram Nassim, who says that you always share. The Bala Shar says, the owner of the Shar says, you're equally culpable. And not to Roi. The owner of the Shar, the victim, says to the boy, but the fact is that it was inside your boy that my animal was found a victim. Whatever can I get from the owner of the cow and get from you because you were fully involved in the damage. I will hope over here in the case of the fats, the meat, me also I'm a basal azik in mun azik. Can he say over here that that the meat caused the damage more than the fats? No, it's exactly the same thing. And therefore, the fats you cannot collect from the fats. You cannot collect from the fats. Says the Gemara, now that's a kam shlamim. What about a carbon toida? So carbon shlamim, we say you don't collect from the fats, only from the meat. Amar says, Rabbi, toida, by carbon toida, you also bring 40 chalas. Rabbi says, a toida shazika goyvim psari, you only collect from its flesh. Then you have the chaflach. We don't get from the chalas. Then you have the lech and pshita. Why would you think you get from the chalas? How is it involved in the damage? Sefer, the chiddush is the sefer. Nizik oichel basa. So what happens is the nizik, the victim, will end up taking the meat of the toida, will eat it, and mischaper maybe lechem. But who brings the bread? Not the victim, but rather the person that brought the toida. So isn't that quite obvious? The person who brought the toida is going to chayiv the bread. That's because the nizik eats the meat. So what? I would have thought, even the lechem hechshed is avachu. When is the carbon a complete carbon? Only if you brought the bread as well. Let the owner of the Torah say, you can eat the meat and I'm going to bring the bread. It's not fair. The lechem chiyuva the bail. Bread is a chiyuv of the bail, of the owner. Nechasim shall b'nei bris. Only if you hear Jewish nechasim. What do you come to exclude? That's when you have to pay damages. Later on, if you damage a guy's animal, you put it. So you said you're right. It tells you the din and then it explains it more in detail. The chosim hamayachadim, single out the chosim. What does that mean? Lamutim, I would excluding only then you're liable. It's clear cut who caused the damage. But if two people, each one says that your animal caused the damage, we're not 100% sure which animal caused the damage. In this case, you say they're both exonerated from paying. Has been yachadim belonging clearly to one person. Later on as well. Two animals chasing after one animal. Each one claims the other one is the one who caused damage. The both potter because you have to prove which one did it. Again, Tani Bahadam Mefarish says it and explains it later. But come and tell you, but if it's the chassid that belong, that's ownerless, you don't pay him. What are we talking about? My animal damage an animal that is ownerless, you need to tell me I have to pay. Who should I pay to? Man Tavale, who does he have to pay? Who would you think he has to pay to? What happened was an animal hefke came and damaged my animal. Lazel the lazy. So more ask the question, what's the big deal? If that animal caused that animal and it's hefker, I'll take the animal. Talking about that after the damage was done, someone else came in and lifted the animal, schlepped the animal, and was claimed it. So therefore, we would have thought that now I already have a lien on that animal. Says no, you don't have a lien on the animal. The animal is hefker. What happens if the animal caused damage? And then the owner of the animal says, you know what? I'm going to make this hegdish. I'm going to consecrate this animal. It has to be yuchadim. The Mishnah says it has to belong to the one person from the time of the damage, the time of the court case. Nogavar hidish. Nogavar he we made hefk afterwards. That's what we learned. Yes, again, I'm going to do that. Nogavar hidish. If the animal caused damage and then we made hegdish, nogavar we made hefk potty. It says, but who would be by love that were warned by the owner of the hemis ish. We need that the animal should cause the damage, and going to court should all be done what the same owner. Says Gemara, but Gemara Din Lebin and the Bezin final ruling doesn't have to have the same owner. Or Shah Yisakul, but Gemara Din it says Shah Yisakul, and it says they give a gambile of Yumos. Again, it mentions owners. Says Gemara, you're right. Aleima Achate Misa, when the animal committed his damage, the Amada Badin going to court, and the Gemara Din the final ruling, Shah V'Gechet, all of them have the same owner. Then the Mishnah says, "Chutz mishus hamichedes l'mazik," a property that if the property belonged to the one who caused the damage, and the victim's animal wandered into somebody's private property, then the damager is exonerated. Why? He says to him, "What I'm doing in my property? He's trespassing." Okay, so Gemara Mazik, and if it's Rishus and Mazik, it's not clear. A partnership, is that also potter because it's the Mazik's animal has a right to be there, or is the Mishnah saying in that case you are chayiv because the Nizik's animal had a right to be there? Amar Avima said, Chotzer Hashutfim Chaver. So Chiza says Chotzer Hashutfim, then you're chayiv if the animal goes out there and eats, or let's say does regel. So if my animal went into a partner's animal and field and ate it from his property or caused damage by trampling on his vessels and so on and so forth, he's chayiv. Why? Because the Torah says biyah b'zdei acha. This goes day acha. The fact is that part of the field belongs to my partner. It's not considered like a shusar rabim. And surely, if my animal went and gored the mazik's animal, since the mazik animal had a right to be there, if the nizik's animal had a right to be there, then the mazik is considered causing damage. Yeah. Chayv al Hashem regel. Then the mazik is chayv on the shen of the regel of the nizik. You know the mazik had a right to be there, but the nizik had a right to be there, so therefore you have no right to eat from their fruit, and surely you have no right to gore his animals. So the Gemara, chutz mishus hamichedes lemazik the potter. The only time you potter is if the animal is trespassing. Sorry, if the animal was not trespassing, the nizik's animal was trespassing because the mazik's animal had 100% right to be there, belonged only to the mazik. Rishus and mazik, but if the rishus of the nizik and mazik joined rishus, or kishahizi chava mazik, in that case, since the nizik had a right to be there, the mazik is totally responsible. But Abelazar disagrees. He says potter shen v'regel. He says that you are potter on shen v'regel. Why? Because you need another person's property. This is not another person's property, because the nizik had every right. The mazik had a right to be there as well. So therefore, it's not considered another person's property. But in this case, keren yechai, because keren makes a difference where you did it. You gored an animal, but shem v'regel you're chai. I guess the argument is, how do we understand shutfus? Is shutfus is that 50% of the field is yours and 50% is mine. So therefore, the mazik had a total, according to Rav Chiza, the mazik he holds that every part of the property belongs to the mazik and belongs to the nizik. According to Abelazar, 50% of the property belongs to the mazik if you know the nizik, and therefore, because the mazik had a right to be there, and in a way, it's sort of exclusively the mazik, because he has an exclusive 50%. We don't know what 50% is, so therefore the mazik is potter. Masheng, the other one holds there's no exclusive rights to the mazik, because every single inch over there, the nizik has part of it, and the mazik has part of it, and therefore it's not exclusively the mazik, and therefore the mazik is chayiv for doing damage. And this is how you the Mishnah that you are potter chutz mishus hamiyeched l'mazik v'shus hanizik hamazik not a potter. Even if it's joint, it's potter. However, if it causes damage, chava mazik. What you come to include? Lasui ken. If your animal gores, who learned that shari means regel. According to Rabbi, that shari means regel. Not like Rabbi Yud. What do you call it? And mother means shen. Fine. Then he's a chamazik referred to ken. But according to Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel that says that shor means keren, or according to Ram that says that shor means everything. Kol mil the shor. Chavamazik lasuyimai. What's chavamazik coming to include? Okay, according to Yehuda we said it coming to include the one that's missing, which is shed. My last regularly lasuya Torah we learned. Kishahid chavamazik lahavi it includes all the shormim. Kibchinam hashayil noisasacha v'aseicha. You're responsible. Shezika behema v'shuson. The animal caused damage while it was in their control. So tam, if it's a tam, mishalom chatzah, if they have the damage, and if it's a mu'id, mishalom nezer shalom. We'll see what that means. What about niflutza b'layla? The fence broke down at night. I know it was an accident. It's not your fault. I should pursue a list where robbers came in and breached the fence. The yotza and went out with equal damage. Pot. Let's understand. It includes who caused damage to who?